the love story of our generation.
He's a future king. She's a middle-class girl.
That Kate and William are incredibly now. He is the heir to this extraordinary tradition. And yet there's Kate, who has come from absolutely nowhere.
The world's most eligible bachelor meets the girl next door.
This is the fairy tale. This is the dream come true. Every little girl wants to marry a prince.
Two people, born worlds apart.
She's won her prince, but it wasn't an easy journey, but she's got there in the end.
William and Kate, the handsome prince and his pretty princess-to-be. It's not just a 21st century fairy tale, it's a moment in history. In a break with royal tradition, Kate Middleton, a middle-class girl, will marry a future king of England. It's a far cry from the blue-blooded days of William's parents, Prince Charles and Lady Diana.
I can't imagine when William was born in 1982 that his parents, his grandparents, and indeed his great-grandmother thought that he would marry the daughter of an airline administrator from the home counties.
Back in 1982, Michael and Carol Middleton worked for British Airways. He was a flight dispatcher, she was an air hostess.
I'd just like to say that Carol and I are absolutely delighted by today's announcement and thrilled at the prospect of a wedding sometime next year.
Kate's story begins just outside the small village of Bucklebury, 50 miles from London.
It's a sleepy, picturesque part of Berkshire, and it's a perfect place to raise children and raise a family.
Born on January 9th, 1982, Kate was christened at her local church in front of a few close family and friends. She grew up in this modest, semi-detached house with her younger sister Pippa and brother James.
Kate had a very traditional childhood. It wasn't particularly extravagant or affluent.
Her simple upbringing was a world away from the extraordinary childhood of her future love. Prince William was born in June 1982, just 6 months after Kate. In keeping with tradition, notice of the royal birth was posted on the gates of Buckingham Palace.
I was at St Mary's Paddington Hospital when William was born. And his mother brought him out of hospital in her arms. From then on, you know, he was, I've documented his life.
Veteran royal photographer Arthur Edwards recalls regular press visits to William's family home, Kensington Palace.
Diana was very proud of her children. I remember when William walked for the first time, and he was walking in his romper suit, and she liked those things documented. And then another, maybe 9-10 months later, we went back again, and, you know, he was talking, and, you know, it was another photo call.
Introduction to the electronic news gathering techniques.
But Diana was determined that William's childhood should be different from royal children before him.
Princess Diana always said she wanted to bring her sons up to be as normal as possible, to have a normal childhood as possible.
Instead of sending William to boarding school as expected, Diana chose a private school just around the corner from Kensington Palace.
Diana openly encouraged, you know, exchanges at the end of a school day to go back to their houses, and likewise people were always invited back to Kensington Palace. And, you know, there wasn't all this sort of protocol and rigmarole. It was actually quite normal, which was very refreshing to see, I have to say that.
She famously took them to an amusement park. She took them out for a burger. She also took them to visit homeless people, trying to show them what the world was really like outside the confines of palace walls.
Diana made sure her sons could experience normal life, even taking them on public transportation.
Well, this is Piccadilly Circus Underground station. William one day came for lunch with his brother, and Diana said, listen, there's a good chance to sort of expose William to the real life and troubles of London. Let's go on an underground. So we did. This was really part of Diana's way of educating her children into saying, look, you know, this is what people do every single day of their life. They don't have the luxury of being chauffeur-driven everywhere. You know, this is how people get to work. But I think that aged 7 or 8, I think it was a tremendous experience. And you could argue quite brave of his mother to even suggest it. I don't know of any other members of the royal family that off the cuff would suddenly decide to take a tube on the Piccadilly line on London's Underground.
And it was the experiences William gained from Diana that would one day lead him to Kate. At the same time, Kate Middleton was moving up in the world. It began in 1987 when her parents set up a mail-order party business.
They made a lot of money in their business, and that enabled them to be able to send their children to very good schools.
Kate quickly fit in and soon discovered a talent for sports and drama. In a strange twist of fate, one starring role offered Kate a glimpse of the future.
I wish to marry you.
To marry me?
Will you, Mariah?
To be all I ever longed for.
The hero of the drama was a chap called William, who she fell in love with.
Will you say yes to me?
Yes, oh yes, dear William.
Kate's fairy tale script was a long way from becoming a reality, but her life was about to change forever. The soaring success of Kate's parents' party business meant they could afford to send her to Marlborough College, one of the most exclusive schools in the country.
The fact that Kate's parents made the decision to send her to private school, Marlborough, changed the course of her life.
Kate was thrust into a different world, side by side with the children of rich and aristocratic families. While at Marlborough, Kate shared a dorm with Jessica Hay.
She was very quiet. She concentrated on her studies mostly, and within about three weeks she was in the first hockey team, first netball team, tennis team. Anything else? Swimming, everything.
As Kate excelled in sports, she made lifelong friends.
One thing that everyone says when they come away from Marlborough is they're really intense friendships, and that's very important. And they're still around her today. Her friends from school are still her best friends.
As her confidence grew, the shy tomboy even started to show an interest in boys.
During the week when we were in class, we used to pass little notes just saying, who are you going to snog this weekend? It was kisses behind the bike sheds. No more than that, though.
As Kate confidently adjusted to her new life at Marlborough, a teenage Prince William was settling in at Eton College, the UK's most exclusive boys' school, set in the shadow of the Queen's home at Windsor Castle. But while Kate had support from a stable family back home, William's life was in turmoil as his parents' marriage fell apart.
I can only imagine it must have had a devastating effect, yes, not least because it was so public.
Princess Diana looked to her elder son for support.
She used him in many ways as an emotional crutch. He would be the one she would confide in and go to. She would bring him into the whole problem of the problems she was having with Prince Charles, the separation and the divorce, which would have weighed heavily on his young mind.
Next, the tragic event that changed William's life forever. In 1997, just a year after the sad divorce of his parents, 15-year-old William was rocked by a far greater tragedy, the death of his mother Diana, Princess of Wales. At her funeral, William and his younger brother Harry's grief was felt by billions watching around the world.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, no.
One of those looking on was photographer Arthur Edwards, who knows William well.
That day, all you could hear was the clip-clop of the horses' hooves and people sobbing, absolutely sobbing their hearts out. Not just women, men, everybody.
Though they weren't to meet for several more years, Kate found herself thinking about William. Watching the funeral on television with her was close friend Jessica Hay.
We had the service on the television in our common room, and we were sitting at the front, and you could see that she was getting quite upset. And I think it made her think about Wills and Harry as well, and I think her nature is to want to help. And she did say that she just wanted to help him and, you know, make him see that life isn't life can get better.
For Kate, meeting Prince William was still just a dream. In the wake of his mother's death, the prince had become a worldwide star, gracing magazine covers across the globe.
There is a new star in town. A tall 15-year-old with a demure smile and his mother's looks is the very latest teenage heartthrob. Welcome to Will-mania.
Prince William was probably at the height of his heartthrob good looks. A lot of the girls were screaming when we arrived, and the crowds just loved him, couldn't get enough of him.
I gave him flowers and he shook my hand.
And I think he found it very difficult when we arrived, the impact he made, because he had never experienced it before. The truth of it is, I think he was quite shy.
For the teenage Kate, William's shyness made him even more attractive.
I mean, I had a picture of William on my wall, but Catherine did always used to say that she quite fancied him.
And the sporty tomboy was blossoming into an attractive young woman.
She came back from a summer holiday with her parents and she just looked stunning. And all the boys, especially the older ones, started to take notice and they were like, she's nice.
But Kate was still a long way off Prince William's radar. At 18, he was the most eligible bachelor in the world.
Well, Prince William probably could have married anyone he liked. I know at one time he had a bit of a crush on Princess Madalena of Sweden. She's the beautiful blonde. And I know that wherever she sort of talked to him, he used to go scarlet. He could have really had a pick of a few European princesses.
William could have had his pick of society beauties as well. Amongst the glamorous and well-connected girls linked to William in the press were